and physiology of posterior pituitary, and I am your teacher Dr. Mudassir Mirza. Let's begin with the functional anatomy of posterior pituitary. As I have stated earlier and in my previous tutorials also, that posterior pituitary is a part of pituitary which lies in the basal part of cerebral cortex. This is the cerebral cortex of brain, and in the subcortical area of brain there is thalamus. Just below it is hypothalamus, and to hypothalamus a P-shaped structure called as pituitary is attached with a stalk which is called as infundibulum. This pituitary has two parts: anterior part which is called as anterior pituitary, and the posterior part which is called as posterior pituitary. Now this posterior pituitary, it is mainly composed of nerve fibers coming from the neurons of parvocellular, paraventricular nucleus and supraoptic nucleus. The cell bodies of these neurons are mainly present in supraoptic nucleus and paraventricular nucleus. Then this nucleus, what you can see just above the optic chiasma, is called as supraoptic nucleus, and the nucleus of hypothalamus present above supraoptic nucleus is paraventricular nucleus. From these cell bodies the axons arise and they terminate in posterior pituitary. So posterior pituitary is mainly composed of nerve fibers, hence the other name of posterior pituitary is neurohypophysis. The hormones are synthesized in the cell bodies of these neurosecretory cells present in supraoptic nucleus and paraventricular nucleus, and they are stored in the nerve terminals here in posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary is richly supplied with blood vessels, from where into which all these hormones from posterior pituitary enter into the blood circulation. So what are the hormones produced? The important hormones produced from posterior pituitary are antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin. Let's begin with antidiuretic hormone. As the name suggests, it inhibits diuresis. Diuresis is production of urine. It is against the production of urine, so it reduces the urine volume by conserving water. So it is the main hormone which conserves water and reduces the amount of urine. It is also known as vasopressin or arginine vasopressin. It is oligopeptide synthesized in the supraoptic nucleus. It is synthesized in the cell bodies of supraoptic nucleus and stored in the nerve terminals in posterior pituitary. Now coming to its regulation. The main regulating factor for the release of antidiuretic hormone is osmolality. Whenever the osmolality in the blood falls below, increases above 285 milliosmoles per liter, it causes shrinkage of osmoreceptors. You can see here osmoreceptors are present in the supraoptic region. When the shrinkage of osmoreceptor occurs, it causes the release, it causes increased discharge of nerve impulses in osmoreceptors, which increases the neurotransmitters acting on magnocellular cells of supraoptic nucleus, which release antidiuretic hormone. Now antidiuretic hormone, this is how antidiuretic hormone is released, which increases the permeability of collecting tubules for reabsorption of water and decreases urine output. The other factors which cause the release of antidiuretic hormone are increase in plasma osmolality, angiotensin II, AT2 is angiotensin II, severe pain, high emotions, increase in temperature. The factors which decrease the antidiuretic hormone release are plasma osmolality, increase in ECF volume, increase in mean arterial pressure, cortisol, glucocorticoids and thyroxine. So these are the hormones which decrease the oxytocin antidiuretic hormone levels in the blood. What are its physiological effects? The main physiological effects of vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone are to increase in blood pressure, regulation of blood volume, increase in blood pressure, and release of adrenocorticotropic hormone from anterior pituitary. Now this antidiuretic hormone, it mainly acts via two receptors, V1 receptor and V2 receptor. V1 receptor is present in blood vessels, whereas V2 receptor is present in the nephrons. So In the nephrons, V2 receptors are present. When the arginine vasopressin binds with this V2 receptor, it causes increase in cyclical AMP, which phosphorylates the aquaporin channels. Aquaporins are channels which allow only water entry into the cell. The cell, remember, cell membrane does not allow entry of water freely into the cells. The entry of water requires special channels. So these special channels are aquaporins, which are incorporated on the luminal side of nephron. Nephron has got luminal side, and the side towards our body is called as interstitial part. So these aquaporins, basically these antidiuretic hormone, it causes incorporation of aquaporins towards the luminal side. When the aquaporins are incorporated on the luminal side, it causes more and more entry of water into the tubular cells and into the interstitium, which retains or reabsorb, which causes the reabsorption of water. This is how antidiuretic hormone helps in reabsorption of water by incorporation of aquaporins on the luminal side of renal tubules or nephrons. Next important action is increase in blood pressure. Antidiuretic hormone also acts on receptors, V1 receptors, which are present on blood vessels. These V1 receptors, basically they cause increase in calcium inflow into the blood vessel smooth muscle, which causes vasoconstriction, which increases peripheral resistance and increases the mean arterial pressure. Now this antidiuretic hormone acts on V2 receptors present in anterior pituitary and causes the release of adrenocorticotropic hormone. That is the one more physiological effect produced by antidiuretic hormone. Now what are its abnormalities? Let us see. One of the important abnormality is syndrome of inappropriate ADH secretion. It is a condition in which excess antidiuretic hormone secretion occurs despite normal or hypoosmolality, which leads to excessive edema and hyponatremia. Another condition is diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus is different from diabetes mellitus. This is a condition in which there is polyuria, that is increase in passage of urine, that occurs mainly due to either deficiency of antidiuretic hormone or failure of renal tubules or nephrons to respond to antidiuretic hormone in conserving water. As water is not conserved, more and more water is excreted into urine, which leads to polyuria. That's all, folks, about antidiuretic hormone. So we have learned about the source of antidiuretic hormone, what is its composition, what are the factors regulating antidiuretic hormone, and what are its important physiological effects. Now moving on to another hormone, that is oxytocin. Oxytocin is again a oligopeptide synthesized in paraventricular nucleus of hypothalamus. Its secretion is mainly regulated by nerve impulses coming from cervix and the breast tissue. Dilatation of cervix at the time of parturition and suckling of breast by the feeding newborn increases the oxytocin secretion. The important physiological effects of oxytocin are: it plays an important role in two neuroendocrine reflexes, the milk ejection reflex and parturition reflex. Now what is this neuroendocrine reflex? Neuroendocrine reflex, by definition, it is the release of endocrine hormone into the blood in response to neural stimulation, is called as neuroendocrine reflex. So there are two such neuroendocrine reflex occurring in our body. Number one, milk ejection reflex, and number two, parturition reflex. Now let us see what is milk ejection reflex. Whenever the baby suckles the breast of the mother, the feeding mother, it stimulates it sends the impulses to paraventricular nucleus present in hypothalamus, which causes increase in neuronal discharge along its axons, and when the neuronal discharge increases, it causes degranulation of hormone oxytocin present in the nerve terminals, which is released into the circulation. Now, when oxytocin is released into the circulation, it causes contraction of myoepithelial cells present in the memory, present around the mammary gland, and causes ejection of milk. So, the milk ejection reflex mainly consists of the stimulus for milk ejection reflex is suckling. The center for milk ejection reflex is hypothalamus, hypothalamus and posterior pituitary, from where oxytocin is released in response to suckling by the newborn, and the response generated by oxytocin is contraction of myoepithelial cells and milk ejection. Now, moving on to another reflex, that is parturition reflex. Near the term of pregnancy, near the completion of full term of pregnancy, stretching of cervix causes stimulation of paraventricular cells in the hypothalamus, which again causes release of oxytocin. The oxytocin release causes contraction of the smooth muscles present in the uterus and pushes the baby forwards and causes parturition. So, the components of parturition reflex are: the stimulus for parturition reflex is stretch of cervix. The response to stretch of this cervix is production of oxytocin from posterior pituitary, which again causes contraction of uterine smooth muscles, which helps in pushing the baby out of the uterus or causes parturition of the newborn baby or delivery of fetus. So, these are the two important physiological effects of oxytocin. So, in today's tutorial we have learned about the two important hormones released from posterior pituitary, that is antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin. Antidiuretic hormone plays an important role in conserving the blood volume or ECF volume, and also it helps in maintaining blood pressure, whereas oxytocin plays an important role in neuroendocrine reflex, that is milk ejection reflex and parturition reflex. That is all about posterior pituitary. If you have any doubts, please put it in the comment section.